Hello, Davey here, and welcome to the first but not necessarily the last misleading marketing video, or at least that's what it's called for now. The point of this video is to highlight the manufacturers that employ misleading marketing. How do we know it's misleading? Well, when it comes to the market, it doesn't take us long for us to test their claims. I'm going to tackle this in the reverse good, bad, and ugly format, so we'll end on an example that holds up to its claims where others didn't. So, starting with the ugly. Most of you will be expecting the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L, and you'd be right for expecting it, because it's one of the worst offenders on the market. It's not all completely awful. You can agree with most of their claims, such as clean routing space, patterned dust filter, and high flexibility for system building, but two of their claims in this list are provably false. The first and lesser important one is the edge-to-edge acrylic transparent side panel claim. In a world where edge-to-edge displays on smartphones and TVs are striving to consume the entire face with a screen, and commonly using the phrase edge-to-edge, this panel isn't even close to the edge by case standards. But that's an issue that your eyes can correct for. The second claim is far more misleading, and that's the excellent thermal performance claim. And this is one where your eyes will deceive you due to the amount of perforations on the panels. Believe it or not, the majority of the front chassis is steel, and the voids make up the lesser portion of the panel. And then when you add the mesh cover, a further reduction to the available intake area is given, which leads to poor thermal performance. When this case hit the market, there were a mass of reviews with unique test benches that discovered the misleading nature of the layers of perforations. Gamers Nexus was a cornerstone in this, and the lesser known AV Techy, that's me, can confirm the shockingly poor thermal performance. But that's not the end for this one. The marketing team just couldn't help themselves and push the misleading levels a little further. I covered this in my Q300L review, but it's worth revisiting. Take a look at this diagram and give yourself a moment to analyze what's wrong. And now I'll go over the major issues. There are two main problems. First up top is the utterly confusing exhaust arrow making out that there's some sort of heat being expelled from the system here. I'm not sure what heat generating components are between the intake and exhaust at this point, but there's not even a drive up there, and even if there was, it wouldn't be producing so much heat that it's going to significantly impact the rest of the system and require its own exhaust, which is also diverting the airflow before it reaches the I/O to the rear, which actually needs the airflow. So these arrows are completely pointless. If you place the fan along with the arrows to the rear top section, that's at least arguable, but this is just, to be fair, coming from a company called Cooler Master, is just incompetent. But that's not the end, at least not the worst part. Take a look at the graphics card. Why is it in the lowest possible PCI Express slot? Minus the fact that this could be an ATEX slot on many boards, not this one in particular, it's a Strix board after all. It's also reducing the intake area of the graphics card to something like 10mm or so due to the power supply unit beneath it. It's completely nonsensical, not to mention the graphics card support bracket at the front is only supporting the VGA cable, not the card itself. But then again, I guess the card support is being handled well enough by the power supply unit. In addition, Cooler Master stated the open design of the perforated front, top, and bottom guarantees excellent thermal performance, despite the actual thermal performance being well below average, even within Cooler Master's lineup. Unbelievable. So that's the ugly marketing, and since that one was so ugly, I'm gonna add its brother, the Q500L, as the bad. Despite the Q300L being such a poor performer, this lineup was popular enough. The Q500L took the same chassis and modified it to fit an ATX board. This further reduced the front intake thanks to the power supply unit being bolted to the interior of the front space. But Cooler Master still holds their fully perforated chassis as a positive. It's also worth noting fully perforated plus fully perforated equals not so fully perforated, or something like that. Also, this isn't a proper edge-to-edge panel still. Anyway, finally, let's cover the good, and this time round it's the MSI Forge 100R. Of course, it's not the best case on the market, but it's still a very good case, especially taking into account its cost. And while that's not the point of this video, it really helps when you claim some sort of performance to back it up with good performance. Minus the fancy or cheesy graphics depending on your opinion, it performed well, so this is marketing material I can support. It's not all clean though, there does seem to be some pieces of broken English here and there, which is really surprising considering there is a complete paragraph at the lower half of the page that's fully coherent, but I can forgive those kinds of mistakes considering there is no disingenuous claims going on here. So there we have it, a few examples of PC case marketing, some of the good, bad, and ugly in existence at the moment. Have you seen worse? Are there companies that you find do this stuff better or worse? Let me know in the comments, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and if you're into in-depth case and cooler reviews, fill your boots on AV Techy.